Well, welcome to another cracking show here at Lockdown Tactics. Me and Chris are absolutely buzzing for this one. We're getting the gloves up and ready. We've, Boydy's contacts here, and he's produced, one I've been really excited for. He's produced Boxing World this week. Boydy, we've had Tyson Fury on, and we're getting into the super bantamweight division, and there's no better than the MBE and 2-weight world champion, Carol Frampton. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, boys?
Carol, how you doing?
I'm all right. And by the way, I haven't seen super bantamweight in 4 years. Featherweight now, I'm going up to super featherweight.
Hi, is that because your sideburns have took you up a weight?
Love it. Well, let's get straight into it here before Snoddy tries to take over this and he'll just banter you all day. Carol, what's been your favourite build-up to a fight?
Has to be the Scott Quigg fight. The fight didn't live up to expectations, but the build-up was amazing. Like, it was a fight that was talked about for such a long time. When he was British champion, I wanted to fight him, and the fight never happened because he just didn't want to fight me. I remember the first offer that was made to me. I seen, like, along with everybody else, Sky Sports News, Scott Quigg and Eddie Hearn holding a check for £1 million on the screen and waving it about, like, and it was like, what he's doing. I remember being really annoyed about that because I knew the fight. I knew I could do more than what they were offering, and people were just instantly saying, "Oh, £1 million, you have to take the fight." But that was Eamon's. If I'd accepted $1 million, they'd have been doing a lot better than me out of that fight. So I knew what I was doing, and I got it for the right deal in the end. But we'd like a wee 3-city press tour, where I think London. We done London, Belfast, and Manchester. There was about maybe 50 people turned up in Manchester, and they were all giving me grief. And Joe Gallagher was an arrogant prick, and they're all slobbering. But when they came to Belfast, there must have been 1,500 people at the press conference, maybe even more. And Hearn and Gallagher and Quigg, all of them got ripped apart. But it was hilarious. It was unreal.
That's some deal then. £5 million. £5 million for 3 cities in a 12-round fight.
It wasn't that much, but there was another bit. There was a big debate over. So both of us were world champions at the time, and there was a big debate over who was going to be in the home fighter corner. And I'm like, well, I'm the proper world champion. I've been world champion longer than you. You won a dopey title somewhere, and you shouldn't even have won it. So I'm in the home changing room. And it was Quigg's changing room he always wore when he fought in Manchester, or he always changed them when he fought in Manchester. And he's very, very superstitious. And I didn't give a shite where I changed, but I just made like this point of I'm in that changing room. And he was going, "No, it's my changing room. I'm the home fighter." I'm like, "No, I'm the champion, mate. It's my changing room. Fight's not happening. Fight's not happening if I don't get that changing room." And I got the changing room, and I just remember feeling like that will be doing his head in. Like, he's so superstitious. Like, he'll be thinking, fucking, "Oh, I'm going to lose here because I'm not in the normal changing room." That's how mentally was. But yeah, it was good fun.
Tell us how it feels to win a world title.
Well, for me personally, it was the first world title I won was the best moment of my career. I won it at home in Belfast against a good fighter. Loads of pressure on me. Everyone just expected me to win the fight because the guy I fought, I'd already beaten him for the European title. But people, I think, forgot how hard a fight that it was, and just expected me to win. But like, loads and tons of pressure on me. But once I had my hand raised at the end, it was magic. Best feeling in the world.
Well, one, how good was that to win it in front of your home fans? But also, how difficult is it when you're expected, as you say, everybody expects you to win because you've already defeated them, and that it's just a matter of turning up? Like, how difficult is that to prepare for that?
Well, to win it in front of your home fans as a challenger is always good. Normally, a lot of the times you have, as a challenger, you would have to go to the backyard of the champion and try and rip it off him. But I think because because I sold so many tickets and stuff, it made sense to do it in Northern Ireland rather than in Spain, where Kiko Martinez is from. He made a lot more money to defend his title, or try and defend it in Belfast. So it was great to do it in front of my home fans. But the pressure, like, there's always pressure when you go into fight. But that one, for me, there was more pressure than any other fight, simply because I'd already beaten him. And the first fight I had for him was for the European title, and I stopped him in the 9th round. But up until that point, it was nip and tuck. It was a hard fight. I was in front, but it was a super tough fight, and I was pissing blood and stuff after it, like extremely hard fight. And I remember when I dropped him in the 9th round, I was kind of thinking, I was laying on the ropes going, fuck, please don't get up, because I was punctured myself. And he couldn't get up when the referee stopped it. But the pressure, honestly, the pressure was just immense. It was in a purpose-built stadium. They just built this stadium, 16,000 people, in Belfast, down at the Shipyard, like the setting, like really iconic and stuff. And it was almost like I had to win, you know what I mean? And I was lucky enough to do it.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, you won it at super bantamweight and featherweight, but what fight do you prefer? What weight do you prefer to fight?
Super bantamweight, I kind of grew out of the super bantamweight division and I moved up. It was hard. So super bantamweight is 8 stone 10, and it was just too hard for me to make anymore. So I moved up to featherweight. Featherweight's almost getting too hard for me now. So my next fight is most likely going to be at super featherweight, which is 9 stone 4. So that's where I am. When you get a bit older, like it's harder to shift the beef. And the weight creeps on. I know. It's just, and it comes off floor and everything else. So I think 9 stone 4 super featherweight is my division for the rest of my career.
Well, Carol, you've had some memorable fights. Martinez, Quigg, Santa Cruz. What would you put down as saying your best victory and why?
Best win was definitely Leo Santa Cruz. Because it was my first fight at a new division. It was my first fight at featherweight. I wasn't expected to beat him. I was a massive underdog. I think you'd have got me at 11-2 in some places, in a 2-horse race, like which is pretty big. And I think 35 American journalists were asked who's going to win the fight, and like 95% of them picked Leo. So he was a 3-weight world champion at the time. So I went to New York, knowing that I could beat him. Like I had firm confidence in myself that I could beat him, but not a lot of other people did. And I went and I beat him, and I beat him fair and square. It was a great fight as well. So that's definitely the win of my career so far.
You've won fights in some brilliant cities. I know you've touched on fighting Heron in the Madison Square Garden, but what's been your favourite venue? And again, just tell the audience why.
I've been lucky enough of boxing some big venues. MGM against Leo Santa Cruz in the rematch, which I lost, but it's like, you're walking down the Las Vegas Strip and you see your face up in lights. Is something like you don't ever imagine when you're a kid. That was amazing, and there's so much history there and so many big fights. But I think the one for me personally was when I fought at Windsor Park, the home of Northern Ireland. It's something that I asked for, and I wanted to do it. And Frank Warren helped deliver on it. MTK helped deliver on it. That was when I left my former team. I was with the McGuigans for maybe 9 years of my career, and then we had a fallout, and I left. And when I joined up with Warren and MTK, I kind of says, look, if you can get me and guarantee me Windsor Park, I will join your stable, and that's what happened. So Windsor Park for me was magic. It was packed to the rafters, amazing night, and one I'll never forget.
Well, you speak there about the strips. The only one that Snoddy's been on is the Magaluf and the Ibiza strip, to be fair, Carol. Give us an idea that goes into the preparation, the sacrifices that are made ahead of a fight.
Well, so I come away from home. I'm in Manchester at the minute. Is where I base my training camps. I like I like 12 weeks for a training camp, which is long enough. A lot of people 8 weeks and stuff is enough, but I've always had long camps, so I feel like I don't really want to change that now. So I have a wife and 2 kids at home who I leave and come over here and train. At the very start of my career, when I was doing my camps, I didn't have the money to fly home every weekend, so I was almost seeing them for a few days once a month, and that was hard. But at this point in time, I can go home and see them every weekend, which is okay. I Monday to Friday over here, go home at the weekends, and 12 weeks of hard graft, training twice a day. Sunday is my rest day, all around sparring and everything else. Had a wee bit of a shiner there from doing a wee bit of sparring. So it's a hard game, but it's the only game I know.
Take us into the dressing room and 2 or 3 minutes, leading up to getting into that ring, for example, Santa Cruz and Las Vegas, and tell us what's going through your mind and what are you focusing on?
See, everyone's different, and I'm always pretty relaxed, if I'm being honest. And I've had reporters in the change rooms and stuff, and they've written about how relaxed I am, and it almost seems unnatural for me to be that relaxed. But it's not really until I start the ring walk, or even when I'm in the ring, is when I really switch on. I just feel like it's a waste of energy to get too hyped up 20 minutes before you're about to fight, when you don't need to be. And I feel like because of a fair bit of confidence in myself and my ability, that if I perform, I should be okay. So there's no point worrying about it, really. And that's kind of the attitude I have. And it's not really until I'm on the ramp about to walk to the ring, that's when I start to get focused. But in the change room, like honestly, I'm chilled out, really chilled.
Carol, it's interesting he's saying, and I know boxers have obviously a lot of confidence, and but if you ever been scared in the ring, like as if you're risking your life, is that something that comes into boxers' minds when you see of boxers and just one punch of something drastic really happening? So does that ever come into your mind that you're risking your life?
No, it doesn't. But I know it's a danger, and it was last year or the year before. We had a very bad year. We had a number of boxers died, and I know it's a risk. And I know that every time you go into the ring, it's a risk. You're getting punches in the head with small gloves on. It can't be good for anybody. But I think when you start worrying about it yourself personally and thinking like that, is probably the time to get out. And a lot of the time you see boxers get it wrong, and they stay in a little bit too long in this game. I've still a firm belief that I can become a world champion again. But I know that I'm reaching the end of my career. I don't want to be. I'm 33 now. Let's just say I don't want to be boxing when I'm 36. Like, I have a few big nights left in me, and I'm pretty swhen it's time to get out. But that's not too far away.
So see obviously when you're talking about that, then is it constantly, Carol, in your mind that you are 33, you have fought at some massive venues, you're a two-weight world champion? Do you still have the hunger? And is your hunger? Are you still driving for yourself? Is it money related? Are you fighting for your family? What keeps Carol Frampton going?
Well, if I'm being honest, there's a few things. Like, I want my kids to be proud of me. Like, and I talk about legacy all the time. I don't want to be a flash number. I feel like I've had a good career, and people have enjoyed some memorable nights watching me, but I still feel like there's more. And on the whole island of Ireland, there's only ever been two-weight world champions, myself and Steve Collins.
Yep.
I feel like I could be a standalone 3-weight world champion. There's talk about me fighting a guy called Jamel Herring pretty soon, hopefully before the end of the year or whenever the arenas open back up again. And to stand alone as a 3-weight world champion, the only one from the whole island of Ireland, one of the only 3-weight world champions from Britain, that's huge for me. So when people talk about me, just being, do people think that I want to be away from my kids? I'm missing my kids growing up, being in training camps. if I didn't want this, if I didn't want to win and succeed for them, I wouldn't be doing this. So there's a couple of motivating factors that I use, but kids and legacy is probably the main two.
In contrast, when obviously you're talking about, in the ring, and you're speaking about felt scared for your life, but has there ever been a moment, Carol, where you've been given a boxer a hiding, and you ever felt sorry for him, and maybe looking at the ref to say, you maybe need to step in here, and or is it just just finish him off and kind of get the job done?
No, I haven't. Again, I think again, if you start thinking like that, it's probably time to get out, because if you let someone off the hook, they could easily, a fight could turn in an instant if someone hits you with a shot you weren't expecting. So if you have someone hurt and you have them and you're ready to take them out, you do your best to go and take them out. And it's the referee's job to jump in when he finds fit to do so. And sometimes there is referees who get it wrong and they leave it too late, or sometimes referees who jump in too early as well. But I've never thought like that. There was a fight, probably exact opposite of what you're saying. I fought an American called Cruz, who was an absolute mouthpiece, and probably the only guy I had real hatred for going into a fight with. And I stopped him in the 5th round. I stopped him on his feet. I hit him a right hand, and he's standing like literally hands down, wobbling in front of me. And the referee jumped in, and I wish he'd have given me 2 more seconds. And I'd throw them properly in, you know what I mean? And, so that was the only time, though.
So you're raging the referee didn't let you go ahead with that one?
Oh, I had a real hatred for him, and obviously I hated him.
See, how annoying is that when, you obviously only you get your 12 rounds, or if it lasted 12 rounds, but how annoying is it when they build up and everybody's mouthing? I know it's a selling point for a lot of people as well, but how annoying is it when, in the before the fight and everything, people are mouthing off and you just want to get there and get it started, but you've got weeks to go before you actually get in the ring?
Well, it's a lot of it's a bit of pantomime, isn't it? And I think I'll only ever give someone grief if they've given it to me first. And a lot of the times you'd see me and my opponent being pretty respectful to each other. Apart from that American, he was, honestly, him and his family were scumbags. One of them threw chewing gum at me at the fucking press conference. I think it was his mum picked it out of her mouth and threw chewing gum at me. Horrible people. But apart from that, I've been okay with everybody else. Even the Scott Quigg fight, which was a big rivalry, me and Scott are okay. It was a wee bit of needle in the build-up, but it's all forgotten about.
What would you say has been your favourite fight?
Favourite fight was the Santa Cruz fight, just because of the one that I beat him in. I fought him twice, but it was an amazing fight. So I think out of them all, it was my biggest win, and definitely the best fight to watch. It was voted. It didn't win Fight of the Year, but it was in the shortlist for Fight of the Year. And it was a cracker, huge fight.
See, when you speak about a 3-time world champion at different weights, and the sacrifices you need to put in there, and you miss your kids growing up. I've been there as well when you're away from your kids a lot of the time, and you don't get that time back. But is that the elite level? Is that what's striving you to get to the top, to stay there, and to be that 3-time weight world champion?
Yeah, absolutely, and I still believe I can do it. And it's almost it's like I shouldn't let what other people are saying affect me, but I'm human, and I do. And people think I'm done. People think I'm on the strap heap. So it's almost going to be a point where it's almost like fuck you, I've done it.
So, Carol, in terms of people questioning you, what type of questions is being asked of you?
People are just assuming that I'm done. So I lost 2 fights ago to Josh Warrington, and a fight that I was probably a slight favourite going into, and I got beat up in that fight. I couldn't perform. Josh won the fight fair and square, and people just thought that's it, he's done. But I believe that there's more to come, and I got it wrong. I just had a really bad night, and I feel like I'm going to win a world title again. So people just think they assume because of my age and because I lost a fight that Josh wanted and that's it. But that's at the very highest level. Josh is a terrific fighter. I do believe if I get it right, I could beat him in a rematch. But look, that's here nor there. Like I still have to get there.
So you heard it here first. There's a rematch on the cards.
Well, I'm not one of these guys that go on and call and slobber about people, but if I win a world title again against Jamel Herring, which I plan to do, then I would love the rematch, Josh.
Do you believe, when you're fighting for, you're fighting for Northern Ireland because of the people, the way the people of Northern Ireland are quite similar to like the Scottish people, so patriotic. They wear the heart on their sleeve, and almost when they're travelling over there, you appreciate how much effort, how much money get put in. People for hardworking 9-to-5 jobs, and they're coming over to support you. Do you feel that weight on your shoulders getting into fights?
Absolutely, and I appreciate all the support, and I know what it's like for people. There's people who came to watch me in New York and Vegas and these places, and they don't have a lot of money. Like they're dipping into their savings. I know a guy who sold a car and didn't tell his wife just so he could come, and he's still with her, by the way. But this is the commitment that these people have, and I appreciate it. Like I will never forget the commitment that these people make, and I always try to do something after the fight for them. Like in New York, we went to a pub after I beat Santa Cruz. I stuck a few quid behind the bar. Done it in Vegas as well, and it's just a wee token of appreciation because it costs people a lot of money to come out and support me. They don't have to do it, but they do it, and I'll always appreciate it.
What other sports are you into, Carol? What do you away from boxing? What else do you like?
Well, football really is the only sport that I follow any teams in. I like to watch the rugby union, every now and again when the internationals and stuff are on, and the big golf tournament I watch on TV as well. But that's about it really. But again, like I said, boxing is kind of taken over my life, so I don't have too much time to focus on anything else.
Well, when you do switch off, what's your team? Who do you prefer to watch?
I support a wee team from well, I'd be hoping you know them, Crusaders, you call them. An Irish league team, semi-professional team, my local team. I support them. From back home, I was a boyhood Rangers fan as well. Growing up, always remember, around the 12th every year, making sure my dad bought me a Rangers kit and going into barbers to get the Gaza haircut and all, and the dyed blonde hair and all this madness. But they were the teams. I still support the Cruz fanatically, and I get across to the odd Rangers game when I get the chance as well.
Well, to be fair, we've spoken about it a few times in this podcast. Once Snoddy's finished, I think he's maybe going to come over and give you a couple of games at the end of his career as well. But watching it, who back in the day, you're speaking about Rangers there, who back in the day was your favourite player?
Favourite player, I loved Ali McCoist and Mark Haitley. Laudrup, big Alberts. Andy Gorham, the keeper as well. They were I loved Emmons, and then obviously Northern Ireland players as well. Do you know who I loved? Really loved him. I Wimbledon was his main team, but I loved Michael Hughes as a player. Always thought he was a great player. And there's a guy called Kirk Hunter who played for the Cruz. In my opinion, one of the hardest men in the world, not just in football. And he was a hero of mine growing up. He was a decent player. He could play a wee bit, well, at that sort of level, but hardest man I ever seen. And I think that's why I liked him.
Well, you sorry to see Michael O'Neill leave Northern Ireland, Carol.
Yeah, I was sorry. Yeah, I think Michael was a brilliant manager for us, but I think it was amazing the job he done. Like, he took us from our lowest ever ranking to our highest ever ranking, and at the very start, people forget that it was about giving them a chance and giving them a chance to to get associated with the players and get them playing properly and playing how he wanted them to play. But his first 10 games or whatever it was, they weren't great. Like, there was talk of him maybe getting the boot at the very start, but they stuck with him, and he turned Northern Ireland into, for such a small nation, a very decent side who could play football. And Michael's a great guy. He's been to some of my fights and all as well. I like him a lot, and I wish him well in his new job. But I was sorry to see him leave. It's going to take someone big to fill his boots. So who that's going to be, I don't know yet.
I think Scott, is it the Motherwell manager, Boydy? I think he's been interviewed for the job. Did you make any of the 2016 the Euro finals, Carol? Did you make it any of the games or anything?
I was training for, I think it was the Quig fight. So I went on a day trip to the first game against Poland in Nice, and that was it. I was in and out the same day because I was training for a fight. But we lost that game. We got beat 1-0. But I wish I'd have loved to, if I wasn't training, what I would love to have done was brought my dad like the whole time and just brought him over and we done a full 2 weeks or whatever. But hopefully we'll qualify for other tournaments in the future and I could still do it. And maybe when my wee boy's old enough, that'll give me an excuse for the missus. They allow me to go as well. The wee man wants to go, so that's
the kids. Carol, see on that, like, Michael O'Neill had came over and done a talk for us when we were on the pro licence as well, and he also spoke about bringing the likes of yourself and Rory McIlroy and that into camps to speak. How proud were you, first of all, being asked in, and what kind of things were on behind the scenes there?
It was a big moment for me because I'm a Northern Ireland fan. Like, I love the football team and love the players. I was really nervous, if I'm being honest, and it was just I went in and had a bit of dinner with them and a bit of a Q&A, and the boys are all, you know what it's like. Footballers are always taking the piss, so I was worried that someone was going to put them pull my trousers down or something. I'm standing in the line for dinner, but they were all right to me, and I've had them. When I fought Quig, I had 4 of the boys walk me to the ring. I had David Healy, who's a hero of mine as well, walk me to the ring at Windsor Park, and it was good. It was a proud moment for me, but I remember being very, very nervous.
See, in terms of that, like, I've not even mentioned him here, and I played with him. But Stevie Davis, what does he mean to Northern Ireland? As a whole, but also as a football player as well.
Well, he's a great man, but he's a great player as well, and he's very underrated. I think he's appreciated a lot at home in Northern Ireland, but maybe underrated in Scotland, and he was underrated in England as well. I think he's a brilliant player. You'd know more than me, obviously, about the football, but he's a nice guy too, and he's a good player, and he's performing as well for Rangers at the minute. So I like Steve-O a lot. He's a good player, and he's a good mate of mine.
Well, Snods, let's try this one out, right? Because I bet it's the same things that you get asked all the time. What kind of questions were the players asking you?
I can't even remember. It was too long ago. They were stupid ones. They were all stupid ones. Like,
the stupid one must have been Josh McGuinness, that's for sure.
Josh McGuinness is a sound big lad, but Kyle Lafferty done something stupid. I can't remember what he done. Big show off walking in the fucking. I think he came in with fucking just in his trunks or something like that. I can't remember, but big laugh is just a big show off. Like, but big. I really like the boys. I like Laugh and I like Josh McGuinness. I had a night out with Josh McGuinness down in down the wee nightclub in Bangor, which is just on the seafront. Fucking a shithole, but we told him we were going down, and we had a good night out.
Big Josh, what a guy!
Him and my missus teamed up. Like, she's a bit of a screwball, my missus. And them two teamed up. He's a good-looking big fucker too, so it's kind of like, oh, go
easy. Big Josh, some boy, yes, some boy. By the way, what a career he's had. He used to be a goalkeeper.
Unreal. I know, a goalkeeper for an Irish League team. Magic, like, real success story. And he's a good player for us. I love when he plays. How he plays for Northern Ireland. He's so passionate. Like, he'd run himself into the ground every single game. Never gives up, and that's a team like Northern Ireland. We need people like that who are full of passion and want to push on and want to win.
Perfect. Well, see in terms of the mental health, we've had Tyson Fury on, and he opened up and spoke, about his struggles and stuff like that. Have you ever had any problems or faced any problems yourself, or what message would you give to anyone out there who is or has been struggling with mental health?
Well, I've lost twice in my career, and the first time I lost, I was extremely down, and I don't want to say disappointed or not disappointed.
Depressed.
I don't want to say I was depressed, but because there is people with real depression and they suffer hard issues and their life is hell for them when they are depressed. I was very, very upset. I don't think I was depressed, but I think that what pulled me out of that was my wife, really, and my wife and my family network, and then the support network I had around me, my team at the time and stuff, with the McGuigans. But it was my wife really who pulled me out of a hole. It's kind of like your phone just stops ringing. I know it's a wee bit of a cliche, but it was true. Like, the calls weren't coming as much from people who you know, who would normally be ringing you. It was almost like you were forgotten about, and I just lost in a fight of the year contender in a close fight to a three-weight world champion who had beaten the fight before, and it took a while for me to get over that. But I think just talking to my wife was something that has helped me. Like, she's a extremely strong, mentally strong person. Her own dad died. I never met her dad. He died of pancreatic cancer when she was 14 or 15. And for a 15 or 14-year-old, whatever age she was, to be able to come through that and be such a good person, a good positive person, it's a credit to herself. But talking is the only time I felt close to being depressed. I think just talking to her sorted me right out.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel though, Carol, at that point that, you said the phone stopped ringing, which is sad, really, when you think it, and it's but you don't think that probably had to happen at that stage of your life to realise who was who if the phone does stop ringing? You know what I mean?
Well, it made me open my eyes, that's for sure. And I had to talk about this, and we spoke to my wife about it, and you just know, who you need in your life in them sort of moments, don't you? And
yep.
I understood who the people that I needed in my life and the people who I was grateful for having in my life. And there was only a few of them, literally a handful of them. And I think if you have a handful of people who support you, then you'll do all right.
Theme we've got in through the podcast, Carol, is obviously we're sort of going through the lockdown phases, different phases here and there. I understand that is one of the questions we asked on here. Which boxer would have helped Carol Frampton through lockdown? If you had a choice of one, and I know you might say Tommy Coyle, she's always up to those pranks you said about pulling people's pants down. So,
but you know what? I was going to say Tommy Coyle, so you stole that one on. But Tommy's one of the best people I know. Like, so generous, great lad, but funny as well. Never takes himself too seriously. One of the best guys I know. But someone, I think, former boxer and now my coach, Jimmy Moore, is like literally the most positive person I know, and he has an answer for everything. Like, I don't know what age Jimmy is. I think he might have just turned 40 there, or maybe 41. But like, very full of wisdom, and he always has the correct thing to say to you at the correct time. So I think if you're ever suffering or feeling low a wee bit or whatever it was, or maybe the lockdown's getting to you, I think maybe just speaking to him would have done me a good turn.
It's interesting. I remember Tommy speaking about him, saying how much a good person he was, and I actually nearly got emotional seeing the thing he done for Tommy when Tommy opened the door, where he did with the Rocky stuff, where he had the belt and stuff. I thought it was unbelievable. I remember speaking to Tommy Coyle, and I don't know if you ever spoke to Tommy in depth about stuff. You probably would, but Tommy was Tommy struggled with confidence, on how to through losses or through. But I actually thought Tommy's heart, determination, and his his boxing ability was very, very good. But he always, when you see Tommy talk, he doesn't ever put himself on a level or anything like that. You know, he always kind of talks on. There's always somebody better than me, but you'll never see any heart in it. And then he talks about his old man selling the fruit and stuff. But I think the top level boxers, there's a split, and I don't know what you think on this, but my opinion. But there's always a split where it's arrogance and confidence. What comes across, you say there, you were very confident. Do you think that's a defining part way to try and get to the elite level, Carol?
I think not just in boxing, but in any sport, you need to be full of confidence. But that, you're right, there's a fine line, and there's confidence and there's arrogance, and I just don't like arrogance. I never have liked it. I don't think there's any need for it. But Tommy, I've spoke to Tommy. Me and Tommy have got this amazing friendship. Like, I've only really known Tommy for since I joined James, so about 3 years now properly. I take a piss out of him because I met him at the Kell Brook and Earl Spence fight, and he came over and asked me for a photograph. And I said, it was before the man. And I went, all right, go ahead, no problem, Tommy. He says he has nothing to say to him. He knows my name. And I went,
hey, Carol, Boydy asked me for a picture the first time he met me as well.
Aye, couldn't get you in. Couldn't get you in because of the size of your head, mate.
Brilliant.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. What's your favourite song to enter the ring?
I don't know. Do you know what? I wanted to have it at the very start of my career. I wanted to have one and I used it the whole way through my career. And I used it for 2 fights. I think James Brown, the boss, and then every fucker started using it. Everyone started stealing it straight after me. And that's happened a couple of times. See the Gala Free from Desire one?
Yep.
The fucking, Will Gregg's on fire and all the Northern Ireland fans.
You can give us let's hear it. What does it go like again?
Bollock. Not a chance. I used that, and then Big Fury used it. Like, they all steal them on me, all of them. So I don't know. I remember I came out to Belfast Child, a Simple Minds song against Quigg, and the atmosphere, the fight was shite. Like, it was a terrible fight, but the atmosphere, best atmosphere I've ever been involved in boxing. Amazing it was that night.
See, on that, when you're picking a song and that, do you look at like venues and say, right, okay, I want this one because, as you say, the atmosphere around it to get the crowd going?
Oh, there always has to be something. For me personally, there has to be a meaning to the song. So I came out in Manchester against Quigg, Belfast Child, and then it went into Run This Town Tonight by Rihanna, because we'd overtaken the arena. It's Quigg's from Bury, which is down the road from Manchester, and I had 3/4 of the arena. So it was almost like, we're taking over tonight, mate. So I always try to think about it and think about the song, and they always need to mean something to me, I think.
What's your next song going to be? Are you worried in case somebody steals it? You give us an exclusive. What's the next one?
The next one, I might go back to. So my next fight is going to be, I don't know the opponent yet, and I don't even know the exact date, but they're talking about early August. So I don't know what I'm going to do for that one, but for the Jamel Herring fight, for the world title fight, the 3rd weight division one, I'm going to come out to Spectrum by Florence and the Machine and Calvin Harris, that remix, because I used that as the first time I won my first world title, and people loved it, and there's a wee bit of meaning to it.
Perfect, great. There we go, Snods. We'll get that on, because we're turning up at ringside. Me and Snoddy are coming. We're inviting ourselves.
Why not, boys?
Finally, in fact, we'll get a couple more questions. If Fury in the Joshua fight, if it takes place next year, who do you think will win it and why?
So I think because of their last performances, Fury just destroyed Wilder. AJ got beat by Ruiz, and then he beat him in a rematch, but it wasn't the most exciting. But people just assume Fury's going to win. And again, talking about pressure, just assumptions that people think that he has to show up to win. I think it's a difficult fight to call, but you put a gun to my head and I pick Fury. I think he's the better boxer, and I don't know why. You look at them, like AJ's the athlete. If you tell Tyson Fury to, jump onto that table, he can't do it. But AJ just does it, and he does it by miles. But Fury has this amazing boxing brain. He just knows his way around a ring, and I fancy Fury to win that fight.
We come back to Tyson Fury. He came on here and he spoke about, he felt suicidal. He was contemplating suicide. From where he was to what he's back to now is unbelievable.
Yeah, you have to say that, and you have to give him credit. Like, even the shape he was in, physically he looked terrible. He'd put on so much weight, but mentally, obviously, he was having a lot of trouble. To be able to, it's an amazing story. It really is. Like, to be able to come back and regain as the heavyweight champion of the world, and in my opinion, at this point in time, although AJ has more belts, he's the #1 heavyweight on the planet. It's an amazing story. What a success it's been, and you have to give him credit, and the people around him as well. Like, he's obviously helped. He's been a big part of pulling himself out of the hole that he was in. But there's obviously been a lot of people around him, and that's when the support network is really important to help you get out of situations like that.
Carol, see, just the last one for me, mate, is what you spoke about there about legacy and what you what you want to be remembered, and people speaking 10, 15 years, and I know Boydy's like that. Obviously, but there's been a goal scorer I've spoken about, saying I really want to be remembered as being a good teammate. Somebody that's loyal, that'll put his body down for the team. What does Carol Frampton want to be remembered as, and what is your legacy? And do you, and when you think about it, do you just want your family to be proud of you?
Well, I want my family to be proud of me, but I want people to remember me first as not first, second probably as a good fighter, and first as a good lad, someone who's sound, and that's it. Like, this is a weird one. I've spoke about this before. Fucking hell, I don't even know why I'm telling you this, but I'd love to have a big funeral, where there's thousands of people on the street. One of them ones.
Yeah,
it's a weird one, but that's
a celebration more than it.
A big celebration. He was a good lad, and yeah, that's it really.
Well, I've heard some things on this podcast, but a good funeral, a celebration of a funeral. But
I think of that. You're right, mate. You're right.
I remember when George Best died. There was thousands and thousands of people on the street. Now, I'm not close to how much of a hero Best was to the people of Northern Ireland and the people around the world, but if I have a wee tiny bit of that, I'd be smiling somewhere.
Nah, it's brilliant though. But I mean, see, in terms of, like, personally, that will happen because of what you've done in your career already. You're well respected in the boxing world, and I think that you speak there about a little tiny bit of George Best, but what you have done for that country is unbelievable,
incredible.
Well, it's nice of you to say, and people have said these things, but again, it's just I'm just being myself, and I'm not going and looking to be some flipping holier than thou person. I'm being myself, and that's it. That's why people like it. You look at Ricky Hatton, how he was loved because he's one of the lads, and that's what I like to think I've done.
Well, you speak there, your man, he's got the airport named after him. What are we going to see, Carol Frampton? What's going to be named after?
Oh, don't know. Maybe we 5-a-side pitch somewhere or something like that.
5-a-side. Well, on that, you can give us on that then. If you want to get down the 5-a-sides, you can give us your. We'll keep it to Northern Ireland. Give us your 5-a-side.
Oh, Rangers as well. Rangers.
We're going for the two of them.
Rangers, because you might mention Boydy. Why we're talking about big, and when Carol wants a big funeral, I know you want a big doner kebab and you're trying to get off, right? Keep it to Rangers and Northern Ireland, Boydy. Let's go. Best 5-a-side team you're going to say.
2 teams or 1 team?
2 teams, go for it.
Let's go.
Right, Northern Ireland team: David Healy, scoring goals.
Yeah.
Pat Jennings, the keeper. That's 2. Michael Hughes, great player. Keith Gillespie and George Best.
Bestie, I played with Bestie at Leeds. Bestie's a great lad. Great lad, by the way. Legend.
You what?
Bestie came to Leeds with me. Keith Gillespie. Bestie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about George Best. I was going, what are you talking about?
No.
He does look old, but he's not that old.
Obviously, they call Keith Bestie, didn't they? Because you get similarities. Yep. He came to Leeds with me. What a lad. Top lad. Good choice.
Great lad. Right, that's another Ireland team. Rangers team. Andy Gorham. Laudrup. Gaza. Ali McCoist and Chris Boyd.
I knew you were going to say.
I've made it. I'm in.
I knew you were going to say Boyd.
I'm in. By the way, I can't wait to phone Dave. He's been left out his Northern Ireland team and his Rangers team. We're on it. Carol, you were awarded the MBE in 2016. How proud and how was that in front of the Queen?
That was massive for me, like an extremely proud moment. I had my mum and my dad over at the Palace with me, and my old amateur coach, Billy McKee, who I owe a lot to. Billy's been a real help to me throughout my amateur career and as a pro, and I wanted to have him there. It was Prince William that gave me the medal as well, rather than the Queen. So if she's off doing something else, you use one of the other royals. But I remember, so he's about 6'4" anyway, and he's standing on a fucking step, and I like, there's a photograph of us, like, it's stupid looking. I've got the MBE, like I wanted to get it printed out and the MBE put in alongside the photograph, but it's just looks daft, so I'm not doing it. I'll just put the medal in a frame.
We need to get a picture of that. We need to get on that and see that. But I know that would have been a proud moment for you. But the proudest thing surely was in 2015 when you were voted the coolest man, ahead of Tom Hardy, David Beckham, and Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, Zoo Magazine, coolest man of the year. Tom Hardy, number 2, I call him. He's I don't know what happened there. I think that they put this vote out, and I think I was probably the only one retweeted it, so all my mates voted for me, and I won it. And then Zoo Magazine went into administration, so they stopped. So I was Zoo Magazine's coolest man forever because it didn't do anything.
Carol, do you feel as if 2020 is going to be a big year for you getting the coolest man award when your hair's like Paddy McCourt's?
It's a bad haircut. I'll show you. Look at it. Easy bits.
As cool as it, that mate. Sideys like bridies, you're nice, eh?
Well, Carol, thank you very much. That was magnificent insight to your career and everything else that's going on behind the scenes. Brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed that last little while there.
Cheers,
thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol. Cheers, mate.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Take care. Thank you.
Boydy, absolutely loved that, mate. Big boxing fan. To have him on the show was special, but to hear some of his stuff behind the scenes was magnificent. We do say at the podcast we're going to bring you big names. It doesn't get any better than a 2-weight world champion, MBE, Northern Ireland's finest, and going for a third, weight world champion is special. We hope he does it. What a top lad! But Boydy, you just when you thought you couldn't like him anymore, he's only went and produced a special prize for the lockdown tactics.
Well, as it's a magnificent gesture, head over to Carol's Instagram, Twitter, whatever he's on, and also here at the Lockdown Tactics Hour, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, for a chance to win his signed gloves. But you can also catch us on Apple Podcast, Podbean, Spotify, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And once again, it was a fantastic episode. And the thing that really struck home with me, Snoddy, was he was just so humble and down to earth.
Yep, he's such a lovely lad. As I say, I'm desperate for him to get that free weight world champion under his belt, and this what he spoke about saying remembered for just being a top lad is brilliant. It sums him up. What a great lad, and I loved that Boydy. It was brilliant.
Well, he's definitely going to be remembered as a top lad on here, so he sure was. And everybody, remember, stay safe, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you.